Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Today we're going to jump back into the world of college football. We're going to be doing another over-under on my prediction for a college football team coming up here in the 2021 season. We've already done Tennessee and Miami and Georgia Tech. If you have not watched them yet and you know someone who likes one of those teams, or if you just want to watch it to see whether or not you think I'm right, please feel free to go back and watch those videos and comment on what you think about my predictions for Georgia Tech, Miami, and Tennessee for the 2021 football season coming up sometime later on this week. Hopefully we're going to be able to talk about the NASCAR Cup Series race. It was postponed yesterday because of the rain. Hopefully they'll be able to run that race today. We can talk about that later on this week. I'm also going to be doing another top 10 video this week. I think this time, since I haven't had anybody comment or suggest anything, I'm going to be doing my personal top 10 comedies of all time. And by comedies, I mean the 30-minute shows that come on TV. So I'll be doing my personal top 10 list coming up sometime later on this week. And as I've already said, my family and I is going to Pigeon Forge on vacation next week. So if there's any place you would like for us to go and try to shoot a small video about, please let us know. Drop it in the comment section, or you can drop it on my Facebook page or my wife's Facebook page. We would greatly appreciate it. If not, we'll just do the same places that we always do. We've just never filmed before since we just started this page. But we're kind of old timers, even though we're not old. We don't really like going to a lot of new places unless it's something that somebody asks us to do. We always go to the same restaurants. We always go to the same shops, the same stores, because we would rather keep going to something that we know we like instead of trying something new. And then if we don't like it, we feel like we just lost, $45-50. So we normally go to the same shows, same go-kart tracks, same shops, same restaurants, and they're always good. So if nobody has a suggestion, we'll just do with what we always do. Now, if you like this video so far, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. When we got to 100 subscribers, we had a giveaway. And if and when we get to 500 subscribers, we will have another giveaway. So please feel free to tell all your friends to subscribe on the channel. But don't just subscribe, also watch the videos. That will greatly help us out. We don't just want subscribers. We want you to subscribe and watch the videos and comment and share and like the videos. Now, if you recall, when I first started doing these college football over-unders, I said that we might have to come back later on and redo them because last year, everybody knows, we just played conference games. Some teams played 10, some played 9, some had, one get canceled, so you played 8, but that was the plan, was just conference games only. This year, everybody's supposed to be going back to their regular schedule, which is 12 games. For some teams, that's 8 conference games, 4 non-conference games. And for some teams, that's 9 conference games and 3 non-conference games, because we know the ACC and the SEC play 8 conference games, but the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Big 10 play 9 conference games. So everybody's supposed to go back to their normal 12-game schedule this year, but Iowa has already had a game get canceled, so now they're down to 11 games. So if they go back and pick up another team, another game, they'll go back to 12 games. If not, it's just 11. So if I do a team that right now has 12 games on their schedule and then a game gets canceled, we may have to go back and redo their schedule based on it now being an 11-game season, or they lost one game and picked up maybe a tougher team or an easier team. So today we're going to be covering the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'll give my prediction on them and what I think about them, and then I'm going to try to explain some of the reasonings behind my predictions for their season. Now, they open up on the 4th of September against the Panthers, and that's not the Georgia State Panthers. That's the Eastern Illinois Panthers. And, of course, they'll wrap it up on the 27th of November against their rival Clemson. Now, their schedule is Eastern Illinois followed by East Carolina. So they'll open up with 2 non-conference games, and then they'll start conference play against Georgia, and they'll play Georgia, and they'll play Kentucky, and then they'll go back and have another non-conference game against Troy. So they'll have 2 non-conference games, Eastern Illinois and East Carolina, 2 conference games against Georgia and Kentucky, and then another non-conference game against Troy. And then they'll be back in conference play the rest of the season until they wrap it up against Clemson. They'll play 8 games, and then their bye week will be week 9 between Texas A&M and Florida. Now, looking at their schedule, I do think they'll beat Eastern Illinois, and I do think they'll beat East Carolina, and I think they'll beat Troy, although Troy is usually a pretty good non-Power 5 team. They're not a pushover. They're generally pretty good, but I do think they'll beat them, and I think they'll beat Vanderbilt, and that's it. So I've got South Carolina going 4-8, 1-7 in the SEC, 4-8 overall. Their lone conference win is against Vanderbilt. Now, I'll give some reasons as to why I think this, and when you watch this video, let me know if you agree with me or not, whether you're a South Carolina fan, know someone who is, or just a college football fan in general. But the reason why I'm predicting this is because, as we know, they just hired Shane Beamer to become their head coach. They fired Will Muschamp. He was terrible, but Will Muschamp wasn't their first choice. They tried to hire like 10 guys before him, and they all said, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you. So they wanted somebody that had a name recognition, so they went and hired Will Muschamp. Even though he was a failure as a head coach at Florida, he at least had head coaching experience. He's a great defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He was bad, but like I said, he wasn't their first choice. Everybody above him just said no. So they wanted somebody that had name value to him. But in the Shane Beamer case, he pretty much was their first choice. Right after they fired Will Muschamp, the rumor started that they were going after Shane Beamer. He's who they wanted. Personally, living here in the South, the way college football is almost a religion here in the South, I want the move to work out. I really do. Because living here in the South, we love college football. And it means more when South Carolina plays Georgia and the game is good. When South Carolina plays Tennessee and the game is good. When they play Georgia, the game is good. When they play Clemson, the game is good. That's what you want. It gives you something to talk about whether you like the teams or not. Nobody wants to watch a blowout football game. Now, when they play Tennessee, it's generally a good game, but it's just because both teams are terrible. But when they play Georgia and Clemson, they generally get blowed out, and that's not fun. So I want the move to work, but I really have my doubts, and I'll tell you the reason why. This is Shane Beamer's first coaching job, which doesn't mean it's not going to work out. But he was an assistant coach under his dad, Frank, for years with Virginia Tech. And when Frank Beamer retired, he didn't even say, hire my son. He went and hired somebody else to be the head coach. Now, to me, when your own dad sees there's something wrong with you and don't give you a look at a head coaching job, there's a reason. So I think if your own dad pretty much says you can't do this, that's pretty much a sign that you can't do this. He's always been some kind of an assistant. He's never been an offensive coordinator. He's never been a defensive coordinator. So he has no experience at doing nothing on the sidelines except for trying to be a recruiter and maybe be some kind of assistant linebacker coach or something like that. But he's never had no kind of experience with any kind of big-time role. And like I said, when your own dad overlooks you, I think there's something missing, and your dad knew that years and years ago. So I want the move to work out, but I don't think it will, and that's why I have them going 4-8. I don't have any confidence at all in Shane Beamer, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. Their offensive coordinator is going to be Marcus Satterfield, who has been an assistant in the NFL the last few years, but he does have experience in the past as an offensive coordinator. He's been with Temple and with the Moccasins of UT Chattanooga and the Skyhawks of UT Martin. So he's never had a Power 5 job at a major program, but he does have experience as an offensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator is going to be Clayton White, who was at Western Kentucky last year as their defensive coordinator. And their running back coach is a guy that all of us probably 35 and above have heard of. His name is Montario Hardesty, who was actually a big-time running back at Tennessee in the late 90s, early 2000s. And last year he was the wide receiver coach at Charlotte. And since he played running back, I think he's going to be a better fit as a running back coach. But this will be his first big-time job as a running back coach, even though he was a running back at Tennessee. Now, I'm guessing Luke Doty will be their quarterback. Really, truly, nobody knows. But he's the only guy on the roster that has any experience. He did play a little bit last year, but their other three quarterbacks have never played. Of course, if you recall, in 2019, Ryan Hilinski played and done a pretty good job. But for whatever reason, they just refused to play him last year. I don't know if it was a Muschamp thing or a Bobo thing or a team thing. I really don't know. I never heard what the reason was. All I know is for some reason last year Hilinski just didn't play, even though they were terrible. He's transferred. So Luke Doty is the returning guy off last year's team. Even though he wasn't the starter last year, he did play some. So I'm guessing he'll be the starting quarterback. But like I said, really, truly, nobody knows. I also guess that they're going to run the spread offense, even though, once again, nobody knows because it's Beamer's first time being a head coach. But I'm guessing they're going to run the spread. Most teams nowadays in college football run the spread. So I'm sure that they will, and I'm guessing Luke Doty is going to be their quarterback. But we'll have to wait and see. So again, my prediction for South Carolina for the 2021 football season is 1-7 in the SEC. Their only conference win against Vanderbilt, who's going to be just awful. Vanderbilt's going to be so bad most high school teams could beat them this year. So I've got them 1-7 in the SEC, 4-8 overall, winning 3 of their 4 non-conference games against Eastern Illinois, East Carolina, and Troy. And before we wrap it up, I'll tell you my dad joke of the day. I went to the doctor and told him I had an extreme fear of tsunamis. And he said, "How bad is it?" And I said, "It comes in waves." All right, that's going to do it for this Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next go-around. Until then, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.